Have you lost your keys recently? Or perhaps you've misplaced your checkbook? Well, I can't help you with those. But if you've lost something on your computer, you've come to the right place. I'm going to show you how to search for your files on the computer in a wide variety of ways. So climb aboard and let's start another episode of Computer Train.
It's time for Computer Train, the weekly TV program that trains you how to use your computer. With your host, El Paso Community College faculty member Russ Myers.
In previous shows, I've shown you how to do a little bit of searching for files and other things on your computer. And apparently I didn't go far enough. I was just discussing this with a friend who was asking me to help him search for things on his flash drive. So I went through the whole spiel of how to do extra things to search. And I thought, hey, what a great idea for a show. So today's show is all about searching for files mainly. And then if we have time, I'm going to show you a little bit about how to do extra searches on the internet. In my previous show, we did a little bit of media business and we did some music, so I wanted to start off today's show with the same kind of thing. So let's hear a little bit of music. All right, as that song implies, this whole show is about searching. So what I'm going to show you about the searching is, in the previous show I showed you a little bit about that, and one of the things that I worry about in these shows is about how much or how complicated I should get, and I'm always worried about getting too complicated and boring everybody to death. But I thought it was going to be a great example for this show, so I'm going to delve in a little bit deeper on a topic that I've already discussed in a previous show. First of all, like always, we got to discuss some fundamentals. Alright, so as I've discussed in other shows, you can use Windows 8's Charms toolbar. It does have a little search text box. And it does work, you know, a good amount of the time. But if you want to go to that next level, which I try to teach my students, is whatever level you're at, I'm trying to get you to another level. In order to get you to another level, then what I got to do is teach you some more fundamentals and a little bit more concepts. First of all, let's review how to run the utility that will help me do this on the computer. So what it's called is File Explorer. So right off the bat, that may be a little bit of confusion, because in previous episodes or versions of Windows, it was called something else. It used to be called File Manager. Then it was called Windows Explorer, also called Computer. In Vista, it was called My Computer. So it came with a lot of different terminology. Now in Windows 8, it's called File Explorer. Okay, so how do you run File Explorer? The best way to do it is to learn the keyboard shortcut. So that's the first one I'm describing, is you find the Windows logo key, which we also call the Win key. That key is going to be at the bottom of your keyboard next to your space bar. It's essentially the logo for the Microsoft Corporation. And then we're going to use the letter E. What's nice about this way of running it is it'll work on all of those versions of Windows. You just do Win key E, and whatever version of Windows, you'll get that file utility, whether it's called Windows Explorer, File Explorer, My Computer. It essentially looks the same. Newer versions of Windows, of course, have more tools. All right, another way that the most recent versions of Windows have is that it's going to be an icon on the taskbar. Okay, the taskbar, remember, is on the desktop at the bottom of your screen where it shows the different programs that are running. In Windows 8, don't forget, we also have the Start or the App side. So we have the App side and we have the Desktop side. So it's usually an icon on the Start menu or the App side. And ultimately, if you can't find it on your particular version, you can use the Start menu or the Charms toolbar to search for the words File Explorer, or substitute just the word Explorer. And I'm going to show you something about minimal in a second. All right, so we've got to run File Explorer. That's the major place that we can do this. All right, next thing we got to do is understand a little bit more about the file name. Most of you understand the file name, obviously, is the name of the file that you gave it. The problem with that is usually people didn't give their files good names, good descriptive names, and they don't understand truly all of the components in the file name. So I wanted to review that for one moment. A file name on Windows actually consists of two components or two parts. Very important to understand that if you want to go to kind of a next level of searching. The major part, of course, is the file name, whatever you called your file. But what most people don't realize is that there's a multi-letter extension that is applied by the computer. Those two pieces of information, the name and the letter, are separated by a period, and we pronounce that dot. So it's going to be file name, dot, and whatever the extension is. So I'm going to give you some examples here. All right, so I have a couple here. Here we have a file name called job resume. And then we have the dot, and then we have a docx. Okay, so if I know part of the file name and I know a little bit about the file type, it makes it much easier to search and narrow down my search. One thing to remember here that's critical is when you name your files, you do not type the extension. Those extensions come from the application that you're using at that particular moment, and it relates to the file save as type text box. All right, so in this case, this docx indicates that this file was created in Microsoft Word. That's the default extension for a Microsoft Word document. Okay, let's take a look at another one. Here we have a file called sales stats. Notice that it is a .xlsx. Okay, so the file name is sales stats, and we understand that the extension in this case is a Microsoft Excel document, which is a spreadsheet. XLSX is the default extension for Microsoft Excel. One more here. Maybe we used our camera or our cell phone to take pictures at a birthday party. So we named that picture, and so we have our Sweet 16 birthday, and we have .jpg. JPG is a standard file type for a lot of different pictures. Also notice that in my file names, I gave you a recommendation in a previous show that I also want to reinforce, is when you name files, try to be descriptive as possible. Windows allows up to 255 characters. Utilize them. Okay. The second thing is when I type file names, we use a concept called title case, which means you capitalize the first letter of each word. Windows actually doesn't care, and average users don't care either. They usually type all their words in lowercase letters or all their words in uppercase letters. If you want to become a little bit more of an advanced users, I recommend you use the concept of title case. Okay, so two components to the file name. All right, a little bit more that we need to understand is when we're telling Windows to search, the whole point of this file name business is we may not remember all of the letters of the file name. So we have to tell Windows to look for a file that contains the letters we do know. The letters or characters we don't know, we're going to tell Windows we don't know them. And the way we do that is we use the asterisk character. Okay, the asterisk is called a wildcard. So just like when you play poker and you get a wild card, it can represent any card in the deck. In this case, the asterisk is a wild card and can represent any characters that you don't know about. Okay, so you have to understand that you need to know a little bit about the file name and file type, remember something about it, and then tell Microsoft Windows to search the rest. Okay, so I have an example of this if we were going to search. Okay, and it's very important we pay attention to the placement of the asterisk. Okay, so if you look at this first one, if I told Windows to search for this, it says EPCC, then it has the asterisk, then it has the dot, and then it has a docx. So first of all, with this .docx, right away, Windows will not return any files, go search for any files that are not that file type. So it won't bring back JPGs or XLSXs or HTMLs or any other file type except Microsoft Word documents. What we're trying to do here as an advanced user is narrow down our search. Okay, if you just type in EPCC, it will find all the files with that. But on my computer, it might be hundreds because I've been working here quite a while. Okay, with this asterisk here, I'm telling Windows that I know the first 4 characters are EPCC. I just don't remember what I called it after that. Okay, let's take a look at another example where I switched just these and I put the asterisk in the front. Now I'm telling Windows that the last 4 characters are EPCC. Okay, one further example is if I use asterisk twice, like this one. I have asterisk, EPCC, asterisk. That is telling Windows that I know those 4 characters appear somewhere in the file name. I'm just not positive if it's in the front, if it's at the end. So essentially what I'm telling it there is if you find any file with those 4 characters that are a Microsoft Word document, I'm trying to look for a file like that. And then you could do all sorts of examples Here I have r asterisk dot asterisk. I remember that I started the file with the letter R. That's all I remember. I don't even remember the file type. I don't really understand file types that much, pretending to be an average user. So this would find any file that starts with the letter R. Okay? Asterisk.xls asterisk, this would show me any files, no matter what the file name is, but it has to be an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, one final one, asterisk.jpg. I'm looking for a picture, I just don't know anything about the file name. I don't remember anything that I named about that. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of these examples on my flash drive. Once again, to run File Explorer, I'm going to use WinKey-E. WinKey-E. That will work on any version of Windows. First thing I want you to understand here, and again, what I try to tell my students, especially in my intro classes, is you have to start using common sense and being logical. So I actually use that keys example. Let's say you lost your keys at your house. Would you get a ladder and go searching on your roof? No, of course not. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What you would do is you would try to remember the last place you were that you might have misplaced your keys. Maybe it was in the bedroom. Maybe you went to the restroom, something like that. So you need to do that same thing on your computer. Remember that your computer consists of a variety of locations where you can put files. All sorts of places we can put files. We have the favorites, we have the hard drive, we have our flash drive. We might be connected to the DVD drive, a network drive. We have drives all over the place. So we try to narrow down where we want to search. If you tell your computer to search your entire computer and you're connected to a network drive and you got a hard drive and a flash drive plugged in, it's going to take a very long time to search. So the whole point of this searching is not just to search, but to narrow down our search and quickly find our items. So right now, all of my examples, I'm going to be searching on my flash drive. Okay, so I'm going to be going to my flash drive first of all. All right, the first thing I want to show you is in your File Explorer, up here we have our address bar. As you may recall, the address bar tells us where we're looking at any given moment on the computer. So right now I'm looking at my flash drive. What I want to do is take a look at the box on the far right. This is the search box. By the way, notice that by default, since it's not used necessarily very often, it's a very small box. Don't forget, you can size a lot of these boxes on the computer. So if I put my mouse right in between those, I'm going to get a double arrow, and I can drag that box and make it a little bit larger so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to go through a couple examples. Let's say I've been working on a resume to try to get another job. Don't tell my bosses that, but it may happen. All right, so obviously as an advanced user, I know that I'm probably going to put the word resume in my file somewhere. Okay, if I don't know anything about asterisks, I don't know anything about extensions, I just can type words, it probably will work. So in that box, I'm just going to type the word resume. And you'll see that Microsoft Windows comes back with lots of different items on my computer that have the word resume. It came back with folders. This is actually a PDF file. It came back with a Word. So while this will work, I can scroll through this and try to find the file that I am talking about. But that's not very effective. What I want to do is I want to be able to narrow down the search. I'm not looking for spreadsheets related to resumes or pictures or PDF files. I know that I created the document in Microsoft Word. So that's why it's helpful to know the extensions. The extension for a Microsoft Word document is DOCX. So now I'm going to change the search to search for any file with the word resume in it with the DOC extension. If you do this now, that's where the asterisks come into play. If you type resume.docx without the asterisk, it's going to search for files only with that word in it. And of course, I didn't name it with just that word. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this search. I don't know exactly where I put the word resume. It might have been at the beginning, it might have been at the end, I'm not sure. So I'm going to put an asterisk in front of the word resume to indicate there might be some characters in front of it. I'm going to put another asterisk after it to indicate there might be some letters after it. But I know it was a Microsoft Word document, so I'm going to put .docx. Okay, so now if you look at my list, just a second ago, you didn't notice, but it'll tell you how many it found. So just a minute, it found 38 different items, including folders, that had the word resume. Now I've narrowed down the search. If you look, it narrowed it down to 8 different files that have the word resume that are a DOC. So that's the whole point of little bit more advanced skills, is instead of having it, you know, even when I do a search, and that's what people do on the internet all the time, they type in one search word so they get 1 million web pages back. You have to learn how to narrow it down for specific things that you're looking. Okay, so now I want to show you an example of being minimal. What I mean by minimal is if you're not positive about how you typed it, you try to type the most minimal amount of letters. Right? So when we introduce the show, it always says, with the professor, Russ Myers. Well, my full name is Russell. So all the times that I'm naming files, I don't remember which one I use. Some I put the word Russ, some I put Russell. I don't know. All I want to do is relate it to searching. If I tell it to look for the term Russell, it will not find any files with the word just Russ in it. Okay, so I wanted to show you that. So I'm going to find all of my items on my drive where I actually spelled out my name, my full name, Russell. All right, so let's look at some of the results here. Okay, so it found lots of different files. All of them have the word Russell on there, and I could scroll down, they're all the same. So I may think, okay, I can't find it. Well, maybe that particular file that I was working on, it wasn't as formal. I wasn't sending it to my boss or something, so instead of putting Russell on it, I just put the word Russ. Okay, so if I named it Russ and I type Russell, it's not going to find it. So you want to try to be minimal for that. So now I'm going to just look for items with the word Russ. And you'll notice that there's many other items where I also use my name Russ. I show my intro students a little bit about this internet site where I put Russ. So now it found folders and files with the word Russ. Okay, so you try to be minimal. It could be a word like you were doing collections. Okay, did you call your file with the word collections? Did you put the word collection without the S? Did you name it something about collecting dues or collecting something? Instead of trying to remember that, just search for the word collect, C-O-L-L-E-C-T, and it'll find any of those files that have collection, collecting, collected, or anything like that. All right, another thing related to this minimal item is if you don't understand that asterisk and extension business, let's say that I was looking for something, I have a file on there where I'm keeping track of some health issues for my doctor. All right, so I'm going to put something, I don't know, did I put doctor or doc? So in that case, I'll put DOC. But where else are we going to find those DOCs? We're going to find DOC in file name extensions. So if I just put DOC, it's not going to find what I want. Right? Because it's finding anything with those letters in there, DOC. So what you want to do again is understand a little bit more about how to search for things. So I might search for asterisk, DOC asterisk, and then maybe it was a Microsoft Word document. Okay, so then we do find the right items. Okay, so we got a lot of different ways to search for the file name, but you have to understand a little bit more than the average user. File names are 2 components, file name and extensions separated by the period, pronounced dot. And then you need to know how to use the asterisk in place of certain characters. And what you're trying to do is narrow your search down so you don't have to scroll through lots and lots of different documents in order to find the file you need. Do you have a computer question you'd like answered? Our email address is computertrain@epcc.edu. All right, so those examples are when we know something about the file name. Part of the words or characters we use in the file name, hopefully we know a little bit about file extensions and we can do a little bit with that. But there are other methods to search, so now I want to show you some other methods to search. Okay, so what we can do here is one of the main methods we can do is we can actually search for content. This is really a great feature. What happens a lot in my class is that I tell people where to save their files if they don't pay attention or they're not writing the path and putting the names I say. So now I can't do a search on that, but I know some of the text in the file that I gave them to start the file, to start the exam. So I can search for actual contents in the file as opposed to the file name. So let's say you don't remember what you typed your resume, what you called it, resume this, resume that. You can't remember. You don't understand the asterisk, you don't understand extensions, but you know obviously in the resume you typed your name. So you can search for your name inside file contents. It's a really great feature. Okay, another way we can do it is by date. Do you know when the last time you worked on that file? Was it today? I can show you every single file that you opened up on your flash drive today. A lot of times I have to do that in class, so if I can't find it on their flash drive, I assume they accidentally saved it to the hard drive. So what I have to do is I go to that classroom, ask them where they were sitting that day, and on that particular computer I can look at all the files that were modified on the particular day they took the exam, and boom, I'll find it right away. All right, the other thing we can do is we can look based upon the size. Don't forget, we talked about in a previous episode about understanding kilobytes, megabytes. This is also a great way to find all the gigantic files on your flash drive or your hard drive and maybe clearing them out. Remember, you want to keep, especially your hard drive, kind of clean so that it runs a little bit faster. So a good way to find those giant files is to get Microsoft Windows to do it. This is not used very often, unfortunately, but I think it's a great way. I use it to look for files. There are different properties that you can put on a file other than the file name. So think of the file name as just one property. A property is something that describes the file. So one of the things in the properties is called a tag, and in the tag you just use descriptive words. So it's in addition to the file name where you put descriptive words and you can search on those descriptive words. So like that one with the birthday party, maybe I don't remember what I called that file name, but if I put a tag and put birthday in the person's name, I can search on the tag instead of the file name, and once again help me find that particular file. All right, so let's do a couple of examples of those. Go back to my flash drive here. All right, so now when you click in the search, we want to look right here in the Refine section. Okay, so here we have drop-down menus for different ways to search. So we have date modified, we have the kind. This is essentially another way to search for specific file types other than using like asterisk.docx. Once again, there's nothing wrong with that menu, but it sometimes brings back too many files. It doesn't narrow down specifically to what you want. Okay, here's the option to look for size, and then other properties such as a tag. So I'll go through each of those as an example. So let's say that today I was working on a file and I can't remember. I was in my advanced spreadsheets class. I was doing a quick example for a student. So what I want to do is I want to look at every single file that I opened and modified today. Okay, so if I go to date modified, okay, first of all you have a drop-down menu. So we have some defaults. And also what will happen is it will open up a little menu and you can actually put a date range. So if you want to do the last 2 days, that's not in the menu. But let's take a look at all the files that I modified today. I'll show my boss if I did any work today. Okay, so you can see I came up here with 4 files. Oh, there's the Steelers schedule. Don't tell my boss that I was working at work, downloading the Steelers schedule and preparing for the next season. But I was also doing work in my classes. So I have a spreadsheet. These were in my advanced Excel, my intro class, and my database class. So if I had forgotten where I put those, I know I worked on them this morning, so I can get Windows to search for it quickly, show me what I modified today. All right, the thing about the kind is we'll just do a quick example of that. This is basically in lieu of the file extensions if you're not familiar with file extensions. Okay, so maybe you put a movie like you downloaded it from the internet. I don't know if I have a movie on my flash drive, but this will tell me. I may have one, I'm not sure. So let's click a search on movie. and it will search. Okay, so on my flash drive I don't have any movie files like an MP4. But if I change that search maybe and look at documents, of course I'm going to have a lot. Okay, so when it looks for documents, oh, I didn't clear out the date modified. It's going to show you when it says documents, that's also Microsoft Word documents, text files, RTFs, Excel. So that's why I don't like it. It doesn't narrow it down. All right, let's clear out this search. And then look at size. All of the files that are, probably don't have any super large. Maybe we'll look at the large. So if we look there, these are any files in the 1 to 16 megabyte. These larger ones, if you've downloaded a movie, these are going to be there. So I'm going to look, do I have any super large files? I probably have a couple, yeah. I have quite a few, especially databases. Databases are much larger than other files like Microsoft Word documents. So you can find files on size. Let's do one with the tags. And I wanted to show you quickly how to apply tags. So I'm going to go to my flash drive and go to pictures just for a second, really quickly. Okay, so in here I have quite a few pictures. And I want to look at this one right here. This was a little file that my daughter, when she was about 7 years old, created that says, "I love you." I really want to keep those because as they get older, they forget who I am. Instead of "I love you, Daddy," it's "Hey you, can you give me a ride to the store?" They forget even who I am. All right, so I have the name of the file. Notice it's all lowercase. She's not an advanced user at that time, but she is now. All right, so how do I apply a tag to a file? It's actually very simplistic. Okay, so if we go to the View ribbon up here, so we're going to go to View, and then in View, right here on the left, there's a Details pane. Okay, so now let's come back here and look. When I click on a particular file, okay, so I've clicked on this file. Now look over here on the right. Okay, so here on the right, we're going to have additional properties about that file. A lot of people don't even know it's there. It's not used very often by the average user, but one of the properties that you should get a little familiar with, especially if you take a bunch of pictures, is that tag property, because you can put words on it. Okay, so right here there are tags, and I'm going to add a tag. All you have to do is get to this window and click in there. Okay, so she wrote that little thing in PowerPoint related to my birthday. My daughter's name is Lindsay, so I'll type a couple of words in there to describe it. Okay, so now I'll go back to my flash drive. And now comes the time I want to show somebody this great picture my 7-year-old daughter created for me to show me how much she loves me at that time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click in the search, just like I would start any search. Now I'm going to go up to the other properties that I talked about, so up to here. And you look at one of those properties is tags. Okay, so I'm going to click on tags. Now in my search window, if we look over here again, instead of searching for the file name when I type, it's going to search for the word in the tag of the property. So I typed the word birthday as one of the tags. I remember that I did that, so now if I type birthday, you see that it found that file. Okay, so if I didn't remember where I put it and I use tags, and what you can do with tags is start putting a tag system. So any picture you ever take of birthdays, you put birthday. Then you might put the year, like 2009, 2014, 2017 in the future. Then you can search for those tags, and you can also search for multiple tags at once in order for it to find that file quickly. So I hoped I showed you how to find the files. There's no reason to lose your files on the computer. Your File Explorer utility will help you. On next show, we're going to do this and much more. So join us on another episode of Computer Train. If you'd like to learn more about the technologies that I've been giving, take a class at community college. You can go for credit classes, and we also offer a wide variety of continuing education classes.